Yeah, no, if we could start talking about kind of the social media boycott, three clubs have started to do that for a week. They're looking to kind of combat what's happening online racist-wise. What are your thoughts? What can we do so that this isn't an issue that we're kind of talking about endlessly with no solutions?
I think every club will have a view on it. Our personal view with social media is, firstly, I'll remind you again, I'm not against social media. We just ask our players to refrain from getting involved in football chatter and about football moments and, might be talking points in football, to prevent any kind of angle on it and to keep it really simple, to be honest. But I'm not against social media. But I think the powers that be of social media are not individual football clubs. I think, I can only imagine it's way beyond them to try and make sure that things are correct and proper use. But if football clubs feel they can do something, then fine.
Does that mean there has to be kind of some unified approach, or through the Premier League, or even through government, just to kind of put an end to this?
No, I think it's beyond football. I think it's a much wider picture than football, it seems to me. I mean, I'm not actively on social media, apart from the usual simple stuff on your phone, text messages and all that, but I'm not actively involved with social media. But so I don't understand enough about it, but I can only imagine that there's powers beyond football that have to start getting hold of people if they're writing vulgar things or inappropriate things. And I think the power's beyond just football.
So, yeah, societal problem rather than just a football problem.
Well, it certainly seems to me, yeah. Football seems to be taking a lot on at the minute. It seems like everything's linked to football. I don't quite know how, but it seems like everything is linked.
Well, let's talk football. In terms of a kind of reaction to what happened at Southampton, it almost appeared that everything was quite good on the pitch performance-wise, bar the result.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange game. We weren't a million miles away. We just knocked off for 10 or 15 minutes and Southampton got back in the game and then second half was a ding-dong and we come the wrong side of it. But that's not happened too many times more recently, certainly since Game 7 that I talk about as being a turning point. We've been pretty consistent. We'd had a consistent run up until the Southampton game. There wasn't that much wrong with the actual performance. The details are what cost us that game. So we've got to tidy that up, of course. Possibly I always give my players the benefit of the doubt and possibly, out of the maddest cycle of games that we've probably ever had in the Premier League, I think there was only us and Man City played the most number of games since Christmas, or some fact like that. And they've had 3 weeks off, which no one can quite put their finger on from the Premier League planning point of view. The only thing I would say is whether that, just affects you sort of getting your eye in and them little details that happen in football, because you've gone from so many games to none for 3 weeks. So I'll give them a little bit of leeway for that. But they're mistakes that we don't usually make, let's put it that way, and we'll have to make sure that we don't make them, obviously, going forwards.
I was going to say, it's unusual to hear you use a term like naivety, because that's not what you're about as a team, is it?
No, it's only 15 minutes, but it just goes to show you in the Premier League, if you switch off or take your foot off the gas for 15 minutes in the Premier League, no matter who you're playing, you can get hurt. And we let a team get back into the game when we didn't need to. And that's no disrespect to Southampton. They're a decent outfit, but I just felt we opened the game up for them rather than closing it down and making it difficult. And they capitalised on that. But there wasn't too much wrong with the general performance, to be fair. We still kept working to win the game, that's for sure. And the margins are tight. Yet again, as we know, we don't get a penalty. We've got the worst record of penalties in the Premier League season on season ever since we've been in it. Definite penalty on Chris Wood. I tried not to elaborate on it after the game, but it is a definite penalty and it doesn't get given. So once again, I'm certainly not going to open my view on all of it. But a player tries to stand his feet and score a goal, doesn't get a penalty. We all know if he screams and rolls on the floor, he gets a penalty. So that's something the game has to look at, not that I have to look at.
And there's no sign of the screaming stopping. It's getting louder, isn't it?
Well, I'm not going to open that one either. I made a comment after a game against Arsenal. It was picked up upon, and I didn't realise it was as bad as it was until I saw it on TV. I knew it was bad, but I didn't realise as bad as it was. But, society's changing. People don't seem to worry them. It doesn't worry them what's happening in football. It doesn't worry the powers that be, that's for sure. So, therefore, it's going to continue.
In terms of the kind of running, if you like, did you welcome the fact that you're on a cycle of almost a game a week, except for, I think, one of the weeks?
Well, I think certainly we still, we're following that unhappy trend of losing players, and we're still working to get Barnsley back fit. Bardo had a family bereavement, that's different. So he'll come back into the thinking, of course, in the group. Varying players that we're still working on to get them fit. Robbie Brady, of course, Kevin Long. It's been very, very frustrating for the players, but it's been frustrating for me as manager as well. And it just seems like, trying to break the cycle. So we are hoping over this remaining spell of the season with the week-to-week games rather than the weeks full of games, if you like, that does help.
And in terms of kind of a survival tally, is it 2 more wins and that's okay from 8, or not look at it like that?
No, I think, everyone, it's like everything. Every game makes a story, but at the end of the day, it's a point system. It's a points game. That's what's important now. The league has a way of working that statistically you get enough points on the table. It's not about who you beat, trust me. It's about getting the points on the table. So our focus will remain on that. It's never changed, to be honest. The one game at a time mentality serves us well. We'll continue that. We make sense of the last one, quite obviously. But as I said, I don't think we're a million miles away in the last one. But, a couple of details and detailed moments cost us. Not the general performance, I didn't feel.
And I know you only get 3 points for a win no matter who you play, but the 3 games that remain with the teams kind of in and around you, are they the ones where you target, or is it?
It's not as easy as that. It's not as easy as that. You've got to target every game as a chance to win, or certainly that's my view. We've shown that this season with big results against teams that no one really fancied us to win. And I think every game is important. Every game is winnable of a form. There are some that are more difficult, quite obviously. But I think our mentality is to attempt, at least, to win every game. And that's been, home and away. I think we've grown away from home over the seasons, and we've got more knowledge of playing away and performing away and getting results. And our home record, pretty much for a team like, of our sort of level during the Premier League, has been pretty strong. So the main thing is the focus on the next one and the mentality to take on the next one.
And just on Steve Bruce, I mean, he seems to have a lot of respect within the game, certainly, but on both sides of the camera as we're speaking. Can you believe some of the stuff that comes his way, or is that just part and parcel of being a manager of a big club with lofty expectations?
Yeah, I think Steve Bruce is well-rounded enough, that's for sure, in his views on football and football management. I don't think there is such a thing as unfair in football management anymore. Yeah, everyone's fair game, so you take whatever comes your way. Society is changing. The way people treat you in society is changing all the time, not just football managers, by the way, generally. So I think we just have to roll with the punches, and Steve gets a few knocks along the way, but he's had a few in the past. I'm sure he can deal with that. And he'll stay focused on the job in hand. And, I've had my fair share. Every manager has. It's unlikely you're going to be a manager and not get a few knocks along the way, that's for sure.
And the final point from me, a big game for Burnley's women this weekend and a big reward if they can get past Sunderland in Manchester United. I believe you've been having a chat with their manager.
Yeah, I mean, more of a general chat, though, not about, trying to do well in the FA Cup or anything like that. It's more of a general chat. I've met him a couple of times in the past. The new ownership wants to, push on the women's side of the game, at this club and build it, which is good. He just got with me for a general chat, really, and a few pointers on, the things that we built here over time. A lot of managers or certainly managers I speak to want to know, often talk about culture, environment and, the kind of the mental side of the game as much as the understanding of the physical and the tactical and the technical. So, we're just sharing some thoughts really and some opinions, if you like, on what we do and hopefully he'll use that and the team will use that and continue to be successful.
Nice to see you. Good luck Sunday. Cheers.
Thank you, and you.
Thanks, James. Next to you, lads. Hi, Nice Premier League Productions.
Hi, Sean. You okay?
Yeah, good.
Sean, that 15-minute period against Southampton, it's very unlike your team, isn't it? Did it surprise you that you had that sort of 15 minutes of madness?
It wasn't 15 minutes of madness. There was one mistake and there was a good bit of play from Southampton. It was just the general feel of the performance. We just went on the back foot rather than the front foot. So it certainly wasn't 15 minutes of madness, that's for sure. It was just 15 minutes when we come away from what we do. And when we do it well, we know that we're a force to be reckoned with against anyone in the Premier League, or certainly an awkward team, as most call us. So, we just came away from that. Like I say, a lot of time off, 3 weeks off is difficult. It's difficult to know the rest and the recuperation along with the training schedule. Maybe their eye just, relaxed a little bit because we're 2-0 up. That can happen.
I don't want to labour on it too much, but if Chris goes down and rolls around, as you said, VAR look at that and he gets the penalty, that's got to be frustrating from your point of view. And does it change the attitude towards it, or are you going to still tell your players to be, well, for want of a better word, straight with it and stay on the feet?
Well, no, actually, the message is clearly the opposite, isn't it? In football now, it's go down and scream, because you go down and scream, you get the decisions. So weirdly, it's probably the only sport in the world that actively introduces the idea of actually working to get fouls and penalties or whatever it may be. I think our players, the thing I've got to be careful with is no one really wants to clean it up. So therefore, I've got to be careful because I'm going to cost my team points by telling them not to go down. Now, that's a bizarre situation to be in, trust me, when you've got my thoughts on the game. But I can't cost these players their futures by not gaining penalties and not gaining the free kicks that others do. That would be absurd. So the rules state that you can do whatever you're going to do. You can simulate whatever word you want to use and you don't get any consequence for it. You don't get booked, nothing's going to happen, you're not going to get suspended. So therefore, I've got to be careful with my players. And if they go down, I've got to stop moaning about it. If my own players do it, I've just got to go, yeah, okay, I see why. Because my players are getting frustrated. And it was a good show of it against Southampton because you can see Ashley Westwood remonstrating with the referee, remonstrating with the linesman, clearly saw that his shirt was pulled. I tried not to say too much after the game because, it's counterproductive. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. Even more bizarre, by the way, I get in trouble for questioning something that was quite obviously a penalty that's not given, which is even more bizarre. So I think I've just got to leave it out there now. I've said enough about it. No one's really that bothered, and society's not bothered really, which is an interesting one. Society and sport have been linked through many sports, not just football. All of my life, I've known a clear link between society and sport. Children being brought up in schools, being taught to play the right way and the rules, etc., etc. But no one's really that bothered. So all I've got to do is be careful with my own team and not try and make them too clean with the game because the game's saying don't be. The game's saying get on the floor as many times as you can and make as much noise as you can and you're going to have a better chance of winning a game. So I've got to be a little bit careful and allow my players the opportunity, if comes right, where they do that. But I don't encourage it, I can assure you.
What have you made of Newcastle? It was a good point they picked up against Spurs, and they're right down there. They'll be fired up to get something. What have you made of Newcastle's season and what they've done recently, and what are you expecting?
Well, there's always a big expectation, it seems to be, at Newcastle, no matter no matter what the situation is, the manager, the players, whatever it goes round. Nowadays, people talk about budgets and all that sort of stuff. There always seems to be a big expectation there. Even without fans in the stadium, it seems there's a big expectation there. Which is, changes slightly for obvious reasons. Steve Bruce, a very rounded manager, very, very good manager in my opinion, very, very good bloke as well off the pitch and around just being a solid fella to know. So I've got a lot of respect for him. His team have been up and down, like a lot of teams. You look at the form of the top teams, they have their little spells, but outside of the top teams, it's fair to say you get long spells or indifferent spells. And it happens. It's happened to us virtually every season. It happens to virtually everyone, other than the superpowers who tend to win more games. And even, more recently, a team like Tottenham, look at Tottenham, look at the quality they have there. Even they have spells that's awkward. Everton have spells that are awkward. Pretty big, pretty sizable teams. Arsenal have spells that are awkward. So I don't make too much of that. Well, my point is that we've still got to be ready. We've got to be ready to perform because they're in the Premier League. They're a good outfit. They've got a very good manager. So we've got to make sure that we're on top of our performance. We can talk all we want about the opposition, but the main focus is on us, I can assure you.